V43 is finally here. Well, on Thursday it is, but for now we've got some patch notes to look at. This update includes the visual update which all of us have been waiting for ages. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We've got the dusk side and the dawn side looking amazing. Scroll down here, have a look. Okay, so this is dawn. Unchained verticality. With a newly opened skybox, assassins like Kalari can traverse a new canopy to gank enemies. Okay, so that is where the offlane side camp is, and you could actually jump over that in the current version, but it was kind of hit and miss. Like sometimes you could double jump over it and you would slide backwards, and even when you did double jump over it, you would slide forwards. Also, Gideon teleport was sometimes wouldn't work, so hopefully they've cleaned that up. A breath of life. The dawn side of Monolith is bursting with life and vegetation, fueled by the giant orb of water that dominates the sky. So that's obviously this orb here. You see, okay, that's actually really nice. This looks amazing. I wonder if it looks this good in game though. That's the question. I always see pictures and I'm like, wow. But does it look as good as it does in game? Wow. I think these are actually in-game screenshots. So if it looks like this, that's actually insane. This is probably one of the best looking games I've ever played at that point. So the new turret. So these are obviously the new turrets. I saw these on the dev stream. They look really cool. They're more like guns. The ones on Legacy I thought were amazing. It was like the big ball in the sky shooting at you. But obviously it was kind of like, why is a big ball all the way over there shooting at me when I'm attacking this tower? So for new players, it can be kind of confusing. At least now it's a gun that's shooting directly at you and you know, like, that's something lethal and I shouldn't stand there. Oh, there's a better shot of the tower. So that's like the tower's armor. Inhibitors have like more armor and the tier 1 and tier 2 have less armor. The armor's kind of like closed in when there's more protection, like say there's no minions under the tower, the armors kind of protects the turret more. Whereas when minions step under the tower, then the armor kind of opens up to signify that you're doing more damage. That's just an overview of the whole map. It looks really nice. I actually like the dusk side quite a bit. Like both sides look amazing. The ball in the sky is incredible, but I like the dusk side a lot. I don't know why, but I do. So let's have a look at the dusk side. Deploy and destroy. Redesign turrets deploy to show their active target and destroy state. As always, let your minions lead when you engage under targets. Okay, well, I really like the dark. Me personally, I really like carbon fiber, and this reminds me a lot of carbon fiber, and I like the black and orange. It looks really cool. I really like the turret design on the dusk side a lot. A lot better than the dawn side, whereas the dawn side has that really cool base structure. The dusk turrets look insane. A looming darkness. In opposition to dawn, the dusk side of Monolith lies under a veil of shadow. Its darkness emanating from within. So we've got some nice green. This looks so good. Look at the orange onto the black, the flames. Oh, it's so nice. Wow, I really like this. This is really nice. The nice shot of the base. This reminds me of like Lord of the Rings. That's really nice. All right, let's see what else is here. The jungle. Okay, so the jungle, as you may or may not know, received quite significant changes. There's more changes coming in version 44 apparently. So basically, I will touch on how they've changed the jungle. So let's just take a look at what they say here. Clever King. Wards are your best friend when taking raptors, as Wukong is always ready for mischief. Okay, so he jumped down into the raptor pit. That's pretty cool. That's something you couldn't do before. And he just deleted 2 people. That's nice. Okay, so you can use Hero's verticality to get into the raptor pit rather than coming through those choke points, which I really like because I just played a game where my team got wiped from running in through the choke point. So the fact that if you have a hero with verticality, it's pretty good. Imagine a Gideon TP, all of you jump through the Gideon TP. That's another way to get into the raptor pit, and the enemy team might not expect it. I really like that. Gone are the days of getting lost in the jungle. Each side is distinctly marked, so you won't go running into enemy territory by accident. This is the dawn side of the jungle. I guess you can kind of tell without even looking at the back, like the backing here, that it's the dawn side because of this actual like living things, living plants and stuff. This is the raptor pit. We've got these kind of weird structures. I guess this would have something to do with the lore. They're holding this like ball as well, which I noticed is in the jungle. And then this is the the dusk side, sorry. You can tell because, you know, the grass isn't as green. The plants are slowly dying. The trees don't have as many leaves on them. And obviously the kind of, the backing and the structure gives it away. Also the bit of darkness. This looks really nice. So this is a perfect time to explain how the jungle changed. So in the middle where the amber link was, if you don't know, it's been removed. The amber link has been replaced by the green buff. So the green buff is now the central point of the jungle. And where the green buff was, there's now a white camp. So there's now 4 white camps and a green buff in the middle. It looks pretty nice. That's the dawn side. I mean, dusk side. And this is the dawn side. So you can kind of tell the difference. There's like less vegetation. This feels more lively. It's really well done, like the transition between two sides. Whereas on Legacy, it was kind of like everything was the same. This is the river. Whip into battle. New open ledges allows for more pathways into the river, which Yin demonstrates with ease. So Rampage can jump over and Yin can also follow him. That's pretty sick. So Gideon TP again. Again, this was in the game, but not every hero could do it. And when you did it, sometimes it wouldn't work just because of the way the game had been set up. The map at that time wasn't really cleaned up. So you could double jump over it with Kalari, something a lot of players would take advantage of. But maybe with Rampage, you wouldn't always be able to make it. It was kind of hit and miss. So I'm glad that, you know, they've cleaned up a lot of the verticality, making it a lot easier for players. The dividing line, a border and a place of danger. The river should be traveled with care. So this is the river on the off lane or the dual lane. Well, basically on the right side of the map. And then this is mid lane. Looks really nice. You can definitely see the transition from lush vegetation to death. River again. I think there's a river buff somewhere. Yeah, there. They'll show the river buff over here. This is where the river buff will spawn. Then you got mid lane over there. Funny how they didn't show the fog wall. I guess they just removed the fog walls for the video, but the fog wall would be here. River buff would spawn here. But it looks really, really nice. I'm hoping that now that we've seen all these like the visual update, they start advertising the game a lot more compared to what they did for Monolith prior to this update, because let's be real, no one really liked the artwork for the update. It was kind of like, we know it's a placeholder, so we'll just take it. So this is the prime pit, a prime target. Aurora can take advantage of the prime pit's open ledges, getting the angle on enemies weakened from a previous fight. So let's take a look at what she can do. Alright, so she used to be able to do this in the previous version, but then they removed it, so they must have cleaned it up. That's nice. That's nice positioning. So this is basically her coming from the back of the orb prime. It looks like if she just goes there, she can do it without jumping. Instead, she has to jump over. But, I mean, verticality is great. It's something that this kind of MOBA should definitely be taken advantage of, because they can, right? You can't really do it in a top-down MOBA. So I'm glad that they're making use of it. The Guardian. Seek out and destroy the Prime Guardian to get a taste of the Asher's power. Okay. So this is again the river, prime pit over here. Entrance to the prime pit is slightly changed, but it's roughly the same. Prime pit, again, this is where Aurora jumped over. So my point was, if she jumped over here, it looks a bit shorter, so she could just charge and then wouldn't have to jump over. So you got your right entrance here, your entrance there, another entrance here. So it's roughly the same layout, just the art looks way better. Okay, exactly the same layout, just some minor changes. You got the cut here, which allows people to jump over, and then this is the main, well, the entrance through the river, and then you got the entrance through lane, and then another entrance through lane and river on the right side. It's pretty nice. I do really like the visual update. It looks amazing. I think, honestly, I couldn't have pictured it being any better in my mind. Like, there's no way I could have come up with something like this. It looks incredible. Okay, so we got a new Rampage skin as well, Stonewood Rampage. The Amarin Forest may appear beautiful, but it's home to the most wild and terrible creatures of all of Zekian. Feel the power of unbridled nature with Stonewood Rampage available in the store. Now this actually looks pretty nice. It reminds me of the Obsidian Rampage, just with like the dude's got stuff growing on him. So it's kind of nice, but it's it's kind of similar to the previous ones. Endgame celebration. The endgame celebration is coming back to Agora. Defeat your enemies and revel in their core, exploding when you claim victory. This feature will receive more updates in the future. Okay, so it's basically like the previous one, but without the hero animations at the end. So it does say they'll be iterating on it, so I'm expecting that to come back. Auto run. A long awaited feature is finally here. Use auto run to get to the lane as you check your stat build and plan strategies with your team. Auto run can be cancelled by movement input, activating an ability or card, or using cancel. Default binding numlock on PC and team comms L1 on PS4. Thank you. I really wanted auto run. This is something that I've wanted since Legacy days. Like running into lane, oh my god. Hero updates. As Monolith rises, so do Agora's heroes. Aurora, Kwang, Steel, and the Fae are updated to rise to Monolith challenges. Read their changes in the full notes below, and we are about to. Alright, so hero balance and bug fixes. Aurora, glacial charge, cast speed increased, remove delay at the beginning of the dash, Hoarfrost, cast speed increased, radius increased from 400 to 440 units. Now that was a change we kind of knew about from the community corner. I think these are great changes to Aurora. I did find her cast times were a bit slow for the pacing of the new monolith with version 42. So I'm glad that they sped these up. Cryosesm, cast speed increased again, radius increased from 700 to 850. So the big change for me was that they've increased the radius for 2 of her abilities and they've sped up the cast time. Well, they've increased the cast speed. So everything happens a lot more quicker, it feels more snappy, and that's what you kind of want in this update. Whereas heroes that feel slow, they don't really have that big of an impact because everything is happening a lot quicker. It's a more fast-paced game. These changes were definitely needed for Aurora. I feel like the Hoarfrost radius increase does work for and against her because you make the area bigger, right? Well then, people can just stand in the middle and not get rooted? Or do you make the area bigger so that when you're chasing someone, it's more likely to hit? It kind of can work for and against you. Bellica, Seismic Assault, damage from 88, 140, 192, 246. Basically, they've reduced the damage and the power scaling. I think I would have liked to see something to a knock-up, but I do believe that her knock-up is actually bugged where you go extra, like you travel higher than you're meant to, so the time you're knocked up is actually longer. I believe if they fix that, she'll be okay. It might be further down in a bug fix or something, or it might just be fixed. So Grim EXE, Deflector Shield, mana cost from 40 to 0. I really like this change. If you're wondering why would they make the mana cost 0 of his shield, if you think about Grim's shield, right, it's used to block an ability, right? But when you block an ability with Grim's shield, you actually get mana back. So when you have 0 mana, you can't even use his shield. But now when you have 0 mana, you can use the shield, get mana back, and use another ability because you now have more mana. I personally like that change. They've also buffed a lot of his stats, probably to make him a bit more viable. Let's be real, Grim isn't played in the carry role as much as most of us would like. He's definitely a better mid laner, I think, personally, with him being able to spam his ultimate every 15 seconds. And I think the Deflector Shield change is gonna make him push him more towards that mid laner role. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest. I like that there's a MOBA that's not saying, oh, this hero is designed for this role and he can only be played here. I actually like that. Iggy and Scorch I felt was way too strong. Yes, you could deal with him, and some people are going to disagree with me on here, but he was definitely too strong. He probably had the highest win rate, I think, so it's nice to see that they're toning him down just a little bit. So Burning Sensation, base damage from 35, 58, 82 to 105 to 28, 47, 66, 84. Power scaling from 0.84 to 0.66. That's quite a considerable nerf, actually. I don't know, maybe that's a lot, but it's difficult to say when you're just looking at numbers. You got to see how it feels in game, but I think that is a considerable nerf. Health per level, just in general, is 68.6 to 62.6. So he's a bit more squishy, allowing you to blow him up, because the hardest thing about dealing with Iggy is he's got 4 turrets down, and you're trying to kill him, and he's just so tanky, and he doesn't die. And then you eventually die to his turrets, because it's kind of like an investment, right? You're like, okay, I can either kill his 4 turrets and then kill him, or I can just kill him, and then when he dies, his turrets blow up anyways. So most people just go for Iggy. But because he's so tanky, you end up dying before you can even kill Iggy. His turret health from 220, 380, 540, 700 to 220. So same at level 1, 20 less at level 2, 40 less at level 3, and 60 less at level 4. I like that change. I did think his turrets were a bit too tanky for my liking, so thank you. Judgment of Heavens, radius increased from 250 to 350. Fury of the Heavens, radius increased from 500 to 700. Thank you, that's a buff to Kwang, who I think is great at the moment, and I play a lot of him, so thank you for that one, Epic. Shout out to you guys. Narbash, Song of My People, I thank you for nerfing this shit, because his healing is insane. I think it was way too strong. So that's been nerfed. It's now down 10 at the final level, 60 to 50, which is pretty good. 50 healing is pretty nice, honestly. Crash Bang Boom got a damage nerf. I think someone told me that it actually does more damage than a Gideon ult. So the fact that now it's probably going to do less is a good thing. Sevrog. Now, a lot of people were like, well, if they're making jungle smaller, there's going to be only 3 minions at a camp. And Sevrog already is struggling with getting stacks. Sevrog's going to be in a bad spot with these new jungle changes, right? Well, come on. Epic have thought of everything. So they've increased his base health, increased his health regen, but the big change here is that his soul stack milestones from 20, 50, 90 to 140 have been reduced to 10, 30, 60, and 100, which is pretty good. The cap is still 200, but it's a significant buff for Sevrog, and it might just bring him back into the meta. Steel now got a complete new ability. I know it was mentioned in the community corner, but some of you might not have caught that, so I'll mention it here. His Bull Rush has been removed, which is his charge, and he's got a new ability called Shield Bash. Steel strikes out with his shield, causing 50, 75, 100, 125 damage in a localized area in front of him. Enemies hit by the shield are stunned for 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and 0.5 seconds. Costs 50 mana on a 5-second cooldown, which is a really short cooldown. Imagine you can stun someone for half a second every 5 seconds and do 125 damage. That's a pretty strong ability if you ask me. And remember that like a stun is not just useful for, you know, locking someone down. It's also really useful for interrupting abilities, like channeled abilities, like a Gideon ult, like a Narbash ult. So having a stun on a 5-second cooldown is pretty nice. So I think that's a great ability for Steel. I like the change. His shield slam range has been reduced by 50, but the AoE size has been increased by 50. His bulwark cooldown has been reduced from 18 to 14 seconds, and base mana has been reduced, and base mana regen has also been reduced. I guess that's to stop you from spamming his new ability, Shield Bash. Now, FaZe was in a bad spot, honestly, because of how good attack speed is in the current game. Like, you don't really use her ultimate for the attack speed buff, whereas prior to the patch, holy shit, you would really want that attack speed buff. Anyways, her energy launch has total damage increased across the board, and the power scaling has been increased. Her flare has had her cooldown reduced by 2 seconds, telekinetic link has had her healing increased, and general balance means the hero is more tanky and has more mana per level. Revenant was in a really bad spot, probably the lowest win rate carry if I'm thinking off the top of my head, but when I glanced over this change, I was like, what? Reckoning is insane. Gold bounty from 600, 800 to 1000 to 1000, 1500 and 2000. When you get level 3 ultimate, think about it. When you get level 3 ultimate, you ult someone and you kill them, you are getting 2000 gold on top of the kill. 2000 gold is 2 attribute points. That is insane. The general balance means that his attack speed per level has been increased, which basically increases his reload speed because his attacks per second has always been capped. Wraith definitely needs some help, so let's see if Epic have given him some love. Cost has been reduced, okay, that's fine. General balance, basic damage per level has been increased, health per level, base mana, and mana. So they basically increased a lot of things, but just basically his base stats have been increased. I don't really know if that's enough. His knock mana got reduced, but I don't really see these changes making a significant difference to Wraith. I'm sorry, but I don't. Yin, lash kick range from 750 to 850, that's nice. Movement speed increased, so she's one of the faster heroes because if we remember Gideon's 690 now, but Yin is 705. Base armor per level from 1.8 to 2. Okay, that's nice. She's a bit more tanky, and I think melee heroes, especially melee carries, should be because they're in the front line. They're going toe-to-toe with fighters. Zinx was pretty strong, so she's getting nerfed, I presume. Mana regen on her dirty healing is now 3.5% at all levels. That's actually a buff at level 1, a nerf at level 2, and a nerf at level 3. So all round a nerf. Mana cost per health has been increased. Okay, so she's now a lot less tanky when using her ultimate. And I can kind of agree with that. But, you know, I feel like a lot of these heroes were powerful because of the cards. So taking just these changes into account doesn't really help if we don't look at some of the cards. Now, this part of the patch notes is about the map, game mode, and economy. Towers receive a full visual rework, which we talked about way at the start of the video when we looked at the new turrets, which I think are amazing. So props to Epic for that one. Remove Amberlink, I did touch on this as well. Replaced by the green buff camp, like I said, it's now in the center. Gold drip, increased passive gold drip per minute from 288 to 390. This is because, you know, the Amberlink was kind of like another passive gold drip, but when you remove the Amberlink, you reduce the amount of gold that you're getting overall. So they've increased the amount of passive gold drip overall so that it kind of falls in line to where you would be. What you have to remember is that at lower levels, people didn't really understand Amberlink. They didn't know how to fill it up effectively. Whereas at high levels, people were filling up the Amberlink effectively. And so they were getting most passive gold drip. So basically what this does is it brings everyone into line. So if you're at the bottom of the skill level, it kind of helps you. Whereas if you're at the top, it doesn't really impact you because you're still getting roughly the same amount of gold. They've increased the speed at which drip is granted from 5-second intervals to 1-second intervals. Now, why is this good? This is good because when you sit in base, you would often wait every 5 seconds for that, you know, that slight increase for your next amount. So you could buy a gem or get another card. But now it's 1-second intervals. You don't have to sit for the extra 4 seconds. Hero kill bounties. Increased base hero kill bounty from 455 gold to 550. Reduced hero kill bounty net worth bonus from 0.01 to 0.006. Net worth bonus is how much the bounty increases for every 1 gold the enemy hero has earned. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't really know how much gold you get when you say you gained gold. I didn't know how much that made you worth when you died. So that's interesting. I like that they've included that because that's educating people like me who never knew. Obviously, I knew it was a thing in the game. I just didn't know how it worked and the math behind it. These changes will result in increased economic value of early game kills while reducing the late game kill totals. Now, if you remember or you watch me stream, I did say the early game kills were not worth it, but it looks like they've changed it now. Like I also mentioned, the jungle camp is completely updated, so white camps will now spawn a large white minion prior to reinforcing with up to 2 small white minions, so each camp stacks with 3. Increased reinforcement time from 60 seconds to 90 seconds, which encourages you to clear your jungle and then go off to the world and gank. White minion, which is the large one, grants 150 gold and 42 XP. White minion, the small one, grants 50 gold and 15 XP. I would like to see them update the minions so like the big minion is kind of different and the small one is different. But I know they're the same from 43 gameplay, but I would like to see them being a bit different, and I'm sure that that's how it will happen in the future. Green buff, increased gold bounty from 150 to 200, increased XP bounty from 40 to 45, increased the gold buff bounty from 204 to 225, so buffs all around for buffs. That was not intended. The black buff has been replaced by an orange buff for better visibility within the environment and minimap, but the orange buff is basically the same as the black buff, it's just a visual change. Or Prime, removed root ability. Thank you! I basically lost the game because I got rooted by Prime, and added a new scattered projectiles ability. Prime Helix launches 10 slow homing projectiles into the air, which distribute themselves evenly amongst all enemies nearby Prime Helix. That's nice, because what would happen is, say you're fighting, and someone didn't take aggro of Prime, well then Prime would never shoot them. Or if someone didn't shoot Prime, Prime would never shoot them. But the fact that these homing projectiles will hit all nearby enemies is pretty nice. They've also updated the order in which all Prime cast ability. The old order was knockback, slow cone, root. The new order is scattered projectile, slow cone, knockback. So, you know, some of you high level players will want to counter, like play around this, or, you know, in your head, you know, okay, scattered projectile, slow cone, back off, let the knockback happen, head back in so I don't get knocked back. Lane minions, spawn schedule, increase the amount of time before minions are added to the waves. Minions will now be added to the 22nd, 38th, and 58th waves. Previously was on the 19th, 31st, and 48th. I like this change. I felt waves got way too big or way too fast. So the fact that they've made waves get bigger later in the game. I like that. It does slow down the game, but I don't think this will have a huge impact on match times, in my opinion. Cards and gems. So let's start with Death. Awaken the Emmerich, they just fixed bugs with it. Devastation, reduced power from 7 to 4. Increased power per structure destroyed from 3 to 4. This is actually a nice card, but it's kind of like, oh, I don't really know if I'm going to get all these structures in this game. So it's something I never picked up. Finder of Playthings, reduced cooldown from 90 to 80. I've seen a lot of people use that. I personally don't use it, but I can see this as a nice buff. Grinning Spectre, increased true damage from 300 to 350, a nice buff there. Lord Volstock, increased experience gained every 10 seconds from 12 to 14. Increased gold lost every 10 seconds from 60 to 100. Wow. I don't know if I would pick up a card that lost me 100 gold every 10 seconds. The experience gained is nice, but still, man, Jesus Christ. Nameless Curse, reduced cost from 3 vitality, 9 intellect to 3 intellect, 8 intellect. Increased damage dealt per second from 60 to 65. That's a nice change. That card, I believe, is like something you would run on Morigesh. Possessed Spriken, increased power from 6 to 10. That's nice. You know, I run Possessed Spriken quite a lot, and the fact that I get more damage from it is only a good thing. Sovok Initiate, increased cooldown from 35 seconds to 45 seconds. I really don't like that, but I can see why, because it made it late game, you would just kill everyone that was tanky so fast. But the cooldown kind of means that you can't just run around following people and then kill them by not doing anything. Veil Stepper now grants 5 power. Warlock's Burden, increased max mana restored per second from 2 to 3. Wound Seeker, increased power. Okay. While I was putting the finishing touches to my video, Epic updated the patch notes to cover stacking auras. Plague Lord, Withering, and Numbing Rogue will no longer stack, but also no longer require line of sight. Withering Shadow received a nerf as well, with the damage dropping from 85 to 55. Quite a considerable nerf. I'm definitely going to have to reevaluate some of my decks. Soldier Fortune, increased cost from 4 intellect to 500 gold for intellect. Increased bonus gold from 150 to 175. Increased bonus experience from 30 to 35. I don't know why anyone would want to pick this card up now that it costs 500 gold. You basically have to use it at least 4 times to get this cost back. It's fine if a card costs attribute points because that leads you on to something else further down the line. But when it costs gold, this does not seem worth it to me. Static Trap, adjusted cost. I like Supply Sergeant. Increased mana restored from 125 to 150. That's pretty good. I run this on my support, so I think that's pretty good. Although I barely play supports, when I do run supports, I use this card. Order. Crippling Glare. I actually use this one on Riktor. Crippling Glare basically applies to 80% slow. Now launches a homing projectile on activation instead of being an instant cast. Okay, so that's interesting. So basically, they are instantly slowed when I press it. I have to wait for a projectile to hit them and then use my Riktor hook, which is what I was comboing it with, and then reduce the cast range. Yeah, I did feel the cast range was kind of ridiculous. I did feel that card was pretty strong. Gates of Salvation is back. Godmother, bug fixes, Light Step, Vanguard. I think this is the card that allows you to teleport across the map. I'm not really too concerned about it because I don't think anyone really uses it that much. Growth. Apex Predator. Increased power per stack from 0.6 to 0.75. Increased ability armor bonus at max stacks from 18 to 24. Reduced max stacks from 50 to 40. Reduced cooldown between stack application from 6 seconds to 4 seconds. Fixed an issue where Apex Predator stacks were being lost on death. Yeah, I was never using this card because, like I said, like it says here, it was stacks were being lost on death. So I thought it was kind of pointless. Flame, fixed an issue where Flame of Zekin's stacks were not being lost. Okay, so they finally fixed that. Basically, if you don't know what this is, you know, you could buy Flame, you could use it 20 times, sell it, and then put something else in, and then, oh, I need to do Orb now, let me grab Flame. It would have the same amount of power that you've stacked up from doing it those 20 previous times, but now it resets. Tyrant is a card I use a lot, so reduce power from 15 to 10, increase power per stack from 0.4 to 0.75, increase max health bonus and max stacks from 150 to 200, reduce max stacks from 50 to 35, and the reason you could see why they've reduced max stacks is obviously because the jungle is, there's 3 minions per camp instead of 5, so on one rotation it takes a lot longer to get those stacks. So if you get 35 stacks now though, so before you would get 50 times 0.4, which would be 20 power, now you get 35 times 0.75, which is 26.25. So it's a nice buff, I guess. And the fact that it might be quicker to get, but I'm not sure because I haven't played on the new jungle. But it might be quicker to get, so that might be a buff. Unbroken Spirit, increased power from 13 to 18, reduced max health from 480 to 36. Would have liked to see the health be increased because this is a more defensive item, but it's okay. Vital Waters, reduced max health from 325 to 265. Fixes an issue where Vital Waters allow Zincs to gain twice the intended benefits. Wow, that's actually broken, so I'm glad they fixed that. Chaos, Blitz Rush. Reduce cooldown from 60 seconds to 25 seconds. If you don't know what that card does, is it allows you to dash forward and resets on hero kill. The 60-second cooldown was pretty insane, so 25 seconds is going to mean that I'm probably going to play around with this card a lot more. Deathcrawler, Mighty Strike attack will now be removed on basic attack regardless of if you hit a target. Makes it a more skill-based card. June Wind's got a nerf, increased max health cost from 100 to 150, reduced power per stack from 8 to 7, reduced attack speed per stack from 7 to 6. They must have been watching my videos. God damn it. I really like June Winds. Now they're just nerfing the shit out of it. Nitro Boost no longer grants attack speed, now grants 8 power. Now that's a really good, that's an instant pickup on all carries now. Giving carries 8 power when you get 3 agility and a free escape. It's insane. That's such a good card now. Okay, Profiteer got a nice buff. I've seen a lot of people pick that up. 60 is pretty nice. Unstable Cyborg definitely needed a nerf. Thank you. Reduced range from 1,500 to 700. Thank you very much. That means carries can actually shoot someone without having Unstable Cyborg proc every single time in their face. Increased cooldown between activations from 0.4 to 0.5. So again, another nerf there. I like it. Probably still viable, but I like the changes. Gem. Consume the Dead. Reduced healing based on target max health from 15% to 10%. I never really used this gem, so I can't really comment on it. Healing Towers fixed an issue where the tooltip was displayed as 1.2 mana regen instead of plus 25%. Improved Killing Blows. Increased bonus gold per kill from 5 to 6. I like that because Improved Killing Blows was honestly not worth it. I think overall, at the end of the game, in most of my games, it added up to 1 attribute point, which is shit. Jungle Lifesteal, increased flat health restore from 4 to 5. Don't know how good this is because we don't know how much damage the new jungle does. But if it's significant, then maybe people pick up Jungle Lifesteal. If it's not significant, then I don't think anyone's going to bother. Quick Exit, reduced movement speed bonus from 350 to 300, so a nerf on probably the best gem in the game after Relentless Pursuit, which is also getting nerfed. Now reduces combat slow penalty when attacking by 50% instead of removing the penalty entirely. I felt the penalty removal entirely was kind of strong, so I'm kind of glad that they changed this, but I don't see Relentless Pursuit being the go-to gem for carries anymore. Okay, so I don't really talk about chest too much because that you can look at and this video is going to go on forever. Don't really want to talk about anything in the general changes. I did scroll through these, but one change actually I did want to mention was that they've added a 10-second pre-spawn in-game chat notification for River, Gold Buffs, Raptors, and All Prime. If you're not sure what that is, it's just like, you know where your text is? Where you're like saying good job and retreat to your allies. Then there's a message that comes up that says, oh, River Buff spawning or something. Something like that will appear. I don't know what the wording is, but something will appear. The rest of it is just visual updates, bug fixes, some AI stuff that we don't really care about. And this video has been going on for ages, and I'm sure you guys are probably bored of hearing my voice. So I'm going to end it here. But I hope you guys enjoyed the look at the patch notes. I think if I had to sum up, and I know a lot of you come to the video just to get my opinion. So if I had to sum up the patch note, I think it's a good patch. And it's not just good in the sense that, okay, there's content in there. It's not as big as 42. But it's good in the sense that now Epic have a close to finished product in the sense of like visuals, right? So when they advertise the game, they've got nice trailers. The new hero trailers are going to be sick. And it kind of like, oh, wow, this game looks good. I'm going to check it out. And it markets the game. It increases the player base. It allows them to expand, you know, the people working on the game. Allows them to bring in rank mode, other game modes, which other game modes you have to remember are not really based on Epic. Like, sure, Epic want other game modes. Who wouldn't want other game modes? At the end of the day, other game modes are just going to be more fun for their player base. But they also have to remember that if they don't have the player base for 2 game modes running simultaneously, then they can't introduce it because it would just kill off 1 game mode, right? So the fact that they have a new map means they can advertise the game, in my mind at least, and then they can bring in more people to play the game, and then they can work on more game modes, which is just more fun for everyone in general. So this patch is definitely a step forward into the future of Paragon. With regards to balance, I have no idea. I have to play it. The map is probably going to change a lot of things with balance as well. New verticality means other heroes are going to be a lot stronger. Gideon, for example, with his teleport. Aurora being able to jump into All Prime, very, very strong. I like some of the changes. I'm not sure about the Kwang buff. Okay, firstly, the map is 10 out of 10. I couldn't have done it better myself. I'm suck at art, but I'm just saying, like, I couldn't have even visualized something this good. It's like a credit to the art team at Epic and everyone that worked on the map. I speak to a lot of people that have worked on this map through like Twitter and stuff like that, and I know that they care a lot about the visuals of this game. And the fact that we finally get to see it is a huge relief from them, and they have done a fantastic job. So if anyone from Epic is watching this video, thank you very much for the great map. I know sometimes we have, you know, an up and down relationship. There's changes that I don't agree with, but obviously this map is something that, you know, anyone can appreciate because a lot of hard work has gone into it, and I really do like it. And I'm sure, like, let me know in the comment section below, do you guys think this map is good? Because to me, it's amazing. I'm looking forward to 44 with the new jungle changes apparently coming in. A new HUD is being on, is just, you know, down the line. It's being worked on, which should improve our, you know, the quality of our games. And, you know, the future for me, for Paragon, is looking bright. With a map like this, the gameplay I'm enjoying a lot at the moment. It was getting a bit stale, but, you know, the balance is something that takes time. And I think this patch is going to, you know, reignite the light, or the fire inside that I have for Paragon. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Smash that thumbs up button if you did. Subscribe for all the latest Paragon content. And until next time, guys, peace.